So I'm here with Kayleigh Ford from the class of 2019. It's great to have you with us, Kayleigh.
Hi.
Kayleigh, tell us what was going on for you before the COVID-19 pandemic changed things.
Yeah, so at Tufts at university.
Mhm.
So I'm actually class of 2017 from Friends.
Wait. So we're talking with Kayleigh Ford from the class of 2017. She's currently at Tufts University. And Kayleigh, why don't you tell us a little bit about what was going on for you before COVID-19 affected everyone's lives?
Yeah, so I was at Tufts, which is in Medford, Massachusetts.
By
Um,
the way, I was born in Medford, Massachusetts.
oh my gosh,
Little
okay.
known, little known fact.
Okay, great. I didn't know that. Yeah, so I mean, it's outside of Boston, and it's kind of a suburb of Boston. And so I'm an English major there. I'm also studying French. I was living in the French house, which is kind of, they have specialty houses where, people who are studying different things or interested in different things can live together. So I was living in the French house. I'm really sad to have left it early. Like, it was such a great group of students, and it was sad too because I had gotten to know a lot of the seniors who, can now, we had to say goodbye really quickly. So that was kind of sad, but I'm still keeping in touch with a lot of them. I've been able to video call friends and everything. But yeah, the last week was super hectic, and it was weird because the weather was so stunning at
Mm.
Medford. So I think everyone was kind of in this state of shock. Like, the weather was so beautiful and everyone was outside on the lawns and like hanging out with friends. And then to realize the school was getting shut down was such a weird, I don't know, like dichotomy. So
Yeah, I think we've all experienced that, particularly on beautiful spring days where it feels like everything should be normal, and of course
yeah,
it's anything but.
totally.
So when you knew you were coming home, how did that lead you back to Friend's school?
Yeah, so I flew home. Basically, it was supposed to be Tufts spring break. So I'd already had a flight lined up. So I had to put a ton of stuff in storage, get everything in like 2 suitcases and fly back. And then I think it was the first or second week I was home. Mr. Paulson and I have had a rapport since I left, basically, and I took his fiction writing class in high school. And I can't remember. It's weird because, yeah, it does seem like it hasn't been very long, and I don't know how I'm forgetting this, but I'm pretty sure he did write a recommendation for me for school. So we had been keeping in touch through email. I'll send him stories that I've been writing at school, and he'll give me comments. He's super helpful. And we'll talk about books we're reading or just kind of, nerdy English stuff. So he actually reached out to me and said, if you're not too busy with classes or anything, it might be a fun opportunity for you if you want to join our Zoom calls kind of as a alum or, a teaching assistant slash alum who can provide, a unique point of perspective for editing these kids' stories. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. So, yeah.
Wonderful. So what form has that taken for you? You're sitting in on the classes? Are you conferencing with students individually?
Yeah, so I haven't conferenced with any students individually. He hasn't offered that, although that would be really cool. But so far, I don't think we've had many classes since I joined. So I think I've joined 2 workshops and then like a third one at the very beginning just to introduce myself. So I've joined 2 different workshops. We've workshopped 3 students for each class. So I just sit down and read the student stories and put comments in to make sure that I remember everything I'm going to say. And then during the class time, we all go around and share what we thought of this student's writing. And then the last 2 comments are mine and Mr. Paulson's, and we basically just like complete our last thoughts on the stories and talk about, any edits or suggestions and stuff like that. So
Wonderful. Now, had you had any experience as a TA or anything like that at Tufts?
no, I haven't TA'd. It's interesting because a lot of my friends have TA'd, but it's difficult to do that with an English class, at least at
Mhm.
college, or at least I've noticed that at Tufts, there aren't really many TA opportunities for English majors. A lot of TAing is people who are taking film or people who are in a lab who would need, you know, an extra person to grade, that kind of stuff. But for English classes, it's a lot smaller. Like, we try to keep the student numbers down a lot. So there isn't always a need for a student to help the professor. So I haven't had any opportunities to TA, but I've always kind of wanted to. So it's nice that it came at this time, because I definitely need, you know, more goals and, you know, different stuff to do right now.
Yeah. And so has it led you to thinking that you might want to pursue a career in education?
Potentially. I think if I ever did, I would love to teach like in college or something. But I really like the aspect, at least, of me being in college and looking back at high school, because I haven't reflected a ton on my high school experience. I mean, I appreciated it, and I enjoyed my time at Friends, and then I went to Tufts, and it feels like Tufts was a really easy transition. So it almost feels like I'm still kind of in that community.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's definitely been nice to be a part of Mr. Paulson's class and look at how far I've come since then. And like, because that was a class that I took too. So I'm TAing for a class that I took, which is a really cool experience, because
that's great.
it's reminding me of the work that I wrote. And now that I'm looking back at that work, potentially, I don't know if I like it as much anymore, but I mean, it led me to the work that I'm doing now at school. So yeah.
That's to be expected, that you've polished your craft a little bit since that time. And are there any stories that have been particularly meaningful that you've read from the current students?
Yeah, there was one by a student, I believe, named Laura. I don't know all of them personally. I've met a couple of them because some of them were freshmen when I was seniors. So it's actually really cool to see that, because Katrina recognized me, which was really sweet. And yeah, I think her name is Laura, and she wrote a story called "The Last Man in the World," I believe. And it was really excellent. I was really surprised by how well she wrote, and how creative it was, because I know that when you're younger, it's really hard to come up with a brand new, unique story that you feel like hasn't been told yet. And I think she definitely achieved that. Like, I was reading it, and there were like twists and turns that I wouldn't have been able to come up with myself. So yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, a budding writer. They are going ahead with the publication of Mock Turtle, so maybe we'll all get a chance to see that.
Yeah, great.
Well, thank you, Kayleigh. It's been great to see you again, and thank you for helping out here at Friends. I hope it's satisfying for you. I'm sure it's a treat for the students to have the chance to have an alum in the Zoom classroom with them.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for asking me to interview.
All right. Take care.
You too.